Hello, hello, hello! It's Vortex week. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I got so carried away with doing the prep for today. You'll notice you've got emails, there's like photos, there's like 2 warm-up songs. Got so excited I suddenly went, fuck! I haven't got time to go to the studio. So here we are. Mi casa e su casa. Welcome to my humble abode. Carefully cropped and edited so you can't see all the child detritus. And trust me, there is a fair amount of child detritus in this house, but then there's a fair amount of grown-up detritus too, because it's stuff, isn't it? It's the stuff that stops you from floating away. So it's Vortex week. Oh my gosh. I know over the last 2 weeks that I've kind of touched on intuition and manifesting and all that yummy good stuff, and today we are going to go deep. So what is the vortex? Hello Helen. Slightly scatty start, but this is all good. So the vortex to me it's that place where you feel really, really good. It's that place where you feel high and bubbly and you have faith in what you're doing. You feel as though you're making good choices and the right choices, and that you are in control of your destiny, even though we're only co-creators in our destiny. Ha 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 ha. But it's about that piece where you're working with your purpose, with your passion, with those kind of universal signals, with your intuition, with all of those really cool kind of woo-woo things that we've been kind of touching on. And when you start to bring those into the equation, you start to be able to manifest. Oh my god, and we all love a bit of manifestation, don't we? We all love seeing our heart's desires coming straight down and into us. So yeah, so the vortex, I dropped in a video by the wonderful Esther Hicks, who is... Esther Hicks, I'm sure I've mentioned her before. Esther Hicks is a channel. She's a conduit. And she is a channel for Abraham. So Abraham is the voice of the universe, given to us in a manner that we will understand. So it's been given a man name, and because we do gods and stuff like that. So Esther is the channel of the voice of the universe. She's freaking amazing. And there's a little video that I've dropped in where Esther explains what the vortex is. So my interpretation is, so there's an old school way of understanding the world, which is Newtonian physics. So we derive our laws of the physical world from the work of scientists and physicists such as Isaac Newton. So the apple will fall when it falls from the tree. Things that are uphill will roll downhill. Those are kind of your basic Newtonian laws. And then you have the quantum area of physics. And quantum... Okay, so Einstein came up with the general theory of relativity in 1916. So it's 102 years old. And he basically got this huge intuitive hit, and it was just like whoop, the information which became the basis of his general theory of relativity just kind of got pulled into him. It was like it was a realization, a sudden like ta-da moment. But it took, and it still takes, 100 years and then some to be able to prove some of the concepts that he's talking about, because what he's working on is a vibrational plane. So so we would have solids, and then we have liquids, and then we have gases. Okay, and as we were taught at school, a solid has strong bonds in between each atom. A liquid has weak bonds in between each atom, and a gas has very few bonds in between, or they're mutable, or they're weak. And so we are able to understand from there that this is a solid glass, and if I put it on a table, it's a solid glass touching a solid table. Now quantum physics would say that actually what we are what we're all created from is a vibrational energy, and that instead of it being a solid attached bond attaching onto another bond, what we are working with is a repulsion and an attraction. So it's like the bonds are kind of constantly, I think it's like weak, strong theory. So the molecules from which we are created kind of bounce up against each other, but they never actually touch. So that glass that you think is resting on a table is actually, the glass is made of atoms which are doing this, so they never actually touch. And it's resting on a table, but it never actually touches the table. It's always being held by the toing and froing of the magnetic attraction and repulsion, the vibration which is created of those molecules of the glass and of the table attracting and repelling each other. That makes sense? We can come back to that if you need. So anyway, so the quantum world is much more about the vibrational quality of things. And the other important thing is that vibration, as we know from plucking a guitar string or playing a piano, is that vibration causes frequency, but those frequencies can be different. So we can have a low note on a piano or on a guitar has a much slower frequency, so the curve it would create, the megahertz it produces, is a much bigger, wider arc, whereas something of a high frequency, a high vibration, is much more staccato. It creates a much sharper wave curve. So the really cool thing is, and I'm going to drop in a list of resources as well, because I'm going to be naming a few things as we go along, and you might find at some point you have time, space and energy to read some of those books. So Lynn McTaggart has written this fantastic book called The Field, and she summarises quite a lot of the quantum science, the quantum theory and the metaphysics that are kind of the basis of what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, just lost my train of thought. So we're talking about, there we go, we're talking about the vibration and the frequency of the body. So if we hold in mind that we vibrate, and we also know that we can measure the vibrational frequency of a guitar string or a piano string, it's also possible to measure the vibrational frequency of a human being. You can actually get a reading of the number of hertz. Lynn McTaggart talks about all the kind of the science behind that. And what they found is that what you are talking about, how you are feeling about that thing, the emotions that it brings up within you, then changes how you vibrate. So high thoughts, happy thoughts, joyful thoughts, optimistic thoughts have a higher frequency, a higher vibrational pitch than low thoughts like sluggishness or depression or jealousy or hatred or rage. So you are putting out into the world a constant frequency that can be read in a unconscious, subconscious manner by other individuals and by animals, but also by the universe. I think as massage therapists we are quite good at picking up on people's how people feel. You know, we might not be able to name exactly the emotion every time, but we do tend to have quite a good feeling for what's going on in a person. You know, you go, ooh, that's weird. They feel kind of down. Or sometimes you just get somebody and you're like, whoa, that person is completely fizzy, and you could almost feel that kind of vibration coming off of them. They're just like bouncing. So the vibrational quality of people then plays into the law of attraction. So the law of attraction is about like attracting like. So Abraham Hicks describes this as, imagine that you are on a stage, or imagine a stage, and on the stage there are 1 million light bulbs. And those light bulbs are of different wattages. So some will be very bright lights and some will be quite dim lights. Your thoughts are like a light bulb going on. That thought, which then is through the vibration that you are constantly emitting, is picked up in the universe, and other similar watted light bulbs, so other things of a similar vibration, will also pick up. It's like that thing of you haven't spoken to somebody for ages, months, weeks, years, and then all of a sudden you think about them and you're like, oh, I wonder how they're doing. I wonder how they are. I've not seen them in a while. And then the next day you get a phone call or you see a post from them on Facebook. It's that kind of thing. It's one light lighting up, causing other lights to light up. So it's a vibrational match. It's one thing attracting another thing. So what your frequency is giving out is then attracting frequencies that feel the same. So I'll keep looking down because I've got a little sheet and I've taken a photo of this. So that you will be able to have a bit more of a look at it. I might do a better copy of it as well. So if we think about how your frequency, your vibration, how that feels, if we think then about how that in terms of the law of attraction, how that brings things to you. So we talked about in the first week that where there is conscious thought, an unconscious belief, and an action, that you get alignment and you also get manifestation. So things start to come towards you. A manifestation is if you put your attention onto something that you really like, how that thing comes into your life. There's quite a lot of books about manifestation, about manifesting the life you want, about living in your dreams. The Secret is a really good kind of starting place. Joe Vitale does a lot of work around manifestation as well. The really interesting thing about manifestation is that it only works if you put the emotion, the feeling into it. Now, we are evolved animals. We tend to sit a lot of the time in the frontal cortex, so all that kind of rational, logical thinking stuff that goes on in our heads. Where our emotions come from, and Simon Sinek talked about this, if you remember that from the first week, is that our feelings, there's two magpies kind of picking off walls out there, that's pretty cool, they're like picking in all the brickwork. So the feelings come from the limbic system, they come from the amygdala, they come from the brainstem, so it's a much deeper, older part of the brain. So there has to be a congruence between, so the kind of the frontal cortex is like your conscious, and your amygdala, your brainstem, your limbic system is more of your unconscious or subconscious, and there has to be a congruence for those. Bloody cat's trying to break in. There has to be a congruence for what you think and what you feel. They have to be in alignment. They have to have the same frequency or resonance. I'm going to try and let the cat in and see if he'll settle. Come on in. Yeah. He's going to be like, damn it, I can't wave my arse in front of the camera. It's all the way up there. So yeah, so when there is a congruence, when there is an alignment of the thoughts and the feelings, and then you take the actions that you need to take, things start coming towards you. Now sometimes you can manifest something without doing anything. But generally, all manifestation takes a little bit of work at some point. There's got to be some input, there's got to be some implementation. I think that's kind of it's kind of a wishful thinking thing, isn't it? Where you just go, oh, if I feel good about this and I focus my attention on it, then it will magically come towards me. It's like, nah, you're still going to have to do some work at some point. Right, so I'm totally distracted by the cat, totally distracted by wishful thinking. So, when there is an alignment, that's when we can draw things in towards us. There are a couple of worksheets that I have sent out to you today. The cat's now going to try and attack a cardboard box. This is going to be fun. And when you get a chance to look at it, what I'd like you to have a look at is the quadrant first and then the 50 ways one. So as we were talking about the emotions, you know, the high frequency and the low frequency emotions. So this is all about feeling. So I dropped in a photo of this. So this is the 22 emotions that Abraham Hicks talks about. Now you can divide them into two halves. So this one here are all the things that you feel when you are in the vortex. So that vortex is that good feeling place. It's that happy place. It's that rich, abundant, affluent place where you feel that things are possible. You feel that things are like manifesting and they're coming towards you and you're just like, whoa. So these, have I got the right way? Yeah, these are the ones, and these are also to do with your purpose that are going to bring things towards you more quickly, more easily. So we have, on the top line, we have faith, trust, joy, love, appreciation and gratitude. We have enthusiasm, passion, happiness. We kind of come down into positive expectation and belief that things can come your way. We have optimism, we have hopefulness, and we have contentment. So that's like the high end, those high frequency emotions. They're those kind of really woo places. Then we have on the left side, from like left, right, we have the lower range of the emotions. We've got boredom, pessimism, overwhelm, disappointment, discouragement, anger, resentment, hatred, jealousy, and then we get right down to fear, grief, depression, despair, and powerlessness. When we're in those emotions, when we feel those ways, it's really, really hard to bring towards you the things that you want. But even if you're feeling down and low and depressed and hopeless and overwhelmed and anxious, you can still find ways to start shifting up. So for me, part of one of the ways that I shift myself up when I'm not feeling great is I put my focus on the things that I love to do, the things that I enjoy doing, and that's going to be today's first exercise for you, which is the quadrant of awesome. And I'm going to ask you to take a little bit of time to think about the things that you really love to do, whether it's in your life, whether it's in work, but those things that make you feel pingy, they make you feel passionate, they make you feel happy. I know we keep going over these week after week, that I'm trying to get you to really focus down on what your passions are, because feeling is so important. I think I also dropped into the group yesterday the Danielle Lepore. Oh my God, I adore the Lepore. And she's talking about the same kind of stuff from a slightly different angle. She is talking about the feelings that you want to create. So checking in with yourself and thinking, well, how do I want to feel? You know, I kind of asked myself this today, and I was thinking, well, I want to feel wise, I want to feel intuitive, I want to feel grounded, I want to feel gleeful, playful. And when you start kind of giving yourself permission, I mean, there's a part of me which goes, really, you want to feel wise? That is incredibly egotistic. But it's like, well, is it? If I can move towards wise, if I can move towards, what is it that wisdom gives me? It gives me contentment. It gives me, well, if we look at these, it gives me hopefulness and optimism that I've learned something over those years, that I can put those things into practice. It's wisdom for me is all very positive things. You know, if I'm feeling wise, I'm probably not feeling particularly bored. If I'm feeling wise, I'm probably not feeling particularly anxious. So it's really nice to get into touch with those feelings that you want to feel and actually give yourself permission to go, even though that sounds ridiculous, I totally go there. This is how I want to feel, and I honour that. And then you find ways and you draw ways to you to allow you to feel that way. Okay, so that'll be your first one for today. The quadrant of awesome, because really it allows you as well to think about all those shitty jobs and what can you do with those shitty tasks. How can you delegate shitty tasks out? How can, you know, if you don't like cleaning your oven, do you have to clean your oven, or can you just pick up the phone and phone somebody who loves cleaning ovens? There are professional oven cleaners out there. I probably could do with hiring one of them myself, but you know, it's like, why do the shitty tasks when you could be spending that time to do the shit that you love? And it's just like, oh yeah, we're back to that question of how can this be easy? How can you really love what you do? How can you do more of the things that you love, that you make you feel great, that get you in the vortex, instead of doing the shit that just bores you? The shit that you get anxious about, or the shit that you just go, you know what? This is not even my job. So, there are a bazillion other ways as well of getting yourself kind of cranking up from this left side and over to this right side where you feel good. And see, I've actually look, I have notes today that I'm not even going to throw on the floor. There's loads of ways about how you can bring that sense of happiness, contentment, optimism in. You may have noticed that I pop song prompts, kind of your kind of get you started songs. They are all songs that I turn to when I feel like I need the ampage turning up. When I was building the downstairs studios, I used to start at about, I used to drop Lil off, and then I'd be in about 9:30, and I would put on pretty much the same songs every week. I would put on Justin Timberlake, Can't Stop Feeling. I would put on Leona Lewis, Fire Under My Feet. I would put on Quiet Dog by Mos Def. I'd put on some Tina Turner. I'd put on Toots and the Maytals. I'd put on all those songs that just like, yeah, that fired me up. And then when I was getting all like, whoa, getting the hand tools out, getting cutting the wood, measuring and everything, I would then go and put on Abraham Hicks. And I'd have like an hour of really loud Abraham Hicks before anybody else came into work. I'm like that, woo, yeah, go on, go for the universe. And one of the things I found was that when I was cutting wood, I would hold in my head the intention. Affirmation is another area of kind of getting yourself feeling good. So affirmation is words, positive words. And literally I would get the piece of wood and I would measure it out. I'd measure the gap, I'd measure the wood, I'd mark the wood, and I'd get the saw. And in my head I'd be like, okay, so God, it's so fucking weird. So what is the intention that I'm building here? Like, within the walls of this studio, what am I trying to create? And I'd be like, I'm trying to create a safe, nurturing, loving place of healing where amazing transformations can happen. And I'd be like, okay, so what is the word there that resonates most strongly with me? What feels like the right word? And I'd kind of work out, and as the saw would go through the wood, I'd get to this place where it felt like the saw was moving more effortlessly, more easily through the wood. And then I would know that that was the right affirmation, it was the right intention. And then, you know what I'd do? I'd get a pencil and I would write that word or that sentence or that phrase or that, I'm sorry, but there's a couple of pieces of wood in there which have got like spirit guide names. There's definitely an Archangel Michael in there somewhere and a Saint Germain. I would write them on the wood and then I'd build them into the wall. So within the walls of the downstairs studios at Thrive, there are affirmations and intentions of love. There are hopes and dreams that I have for my clients, and they are written on pieces of wood, and they are sandwiched in insulation and walls, and that all of that stuff is there because that's going to help me raise my vibration into work, because I get that good feeling. I get that good feeling that that place was built with love. I get that good feeling that transformation happens here, and it's just a really, really uplifting thing to do. And you know, I painted a little cup a couple of years ago, and on the bottom of the cup I painted love, health, happiness, gratitude, because these are all the things that I want for my girl. So every time she drinks from that cup, there is a vibration of love, health, happiness, gratitude. You can write it on the water jug at work. You can write it in the journals that you use. You can infuse it into the clothes that you wear. Write it on your bottle of washing liquid. So when you do the laundry washing, or whoever does the laundry washing in your house, those clothes are being washed with love. They're being washed with all those amazing intentions that you'd love for yourself and for your family. It's woo-woo, but it's vibrational. And until I see any evidence that tells me it doesn't work, because really, who's going to trust that? I'm going to go along with the fact that it does work, because even if it's a placebo effect, it's working. Even if it is just, you know, little old me being a little old woo-woo, I'll take it. So, yeah, that was a sidetrack. Where were we supposed to go there? Oh God, I'm so excited about all this Vortex work. I'm so excited about what we're talking about. I'm just like, and it's this, and it's that, and it's this, and it's that. So you've got to bear in mind as well that how you feel, because it is quantum, because it is based on the vibrational energy of attracting and repelling, also changes your relationships in your life. If you're vibrating at a higher vibration and you are bringing in towards you more positive things, it also stands to reason that you are repelling more negative things. The vortex isn't about trying to change anybody. The vortex is about you and the way that you feel. It's not about what you do to change the lives of others. But what you may find is that as you feel happier, as you feel stronger, as you feel more affirmed within yourself, that your friendships and your relationships with family change. I know that when I started getting more into this, that there was a group of people that generally kind of hung out on the negative side of that list. And I found myself wanting to interact with them less. I found myself wanting to hang out with them less. And I had to be all right with that. I had to give myself permission that, you know, I will probably see a little less of these people, because it felt icky when I was with them. I'd come home and I'd be cross and I'd be grumpy and I'd be like, God damn it, damn it, damn it. So I chose to hang out with them less. But what's really interesting is that as my growth has evolved, that now when I see these people, the relationship is slightly different, but also there is more of the positive aspects of the relationship. It's like vibrationally they choose to bring their happy game rather than allowing, and I suppose as well that I don't suffer the bullshit anymore. So you can't change others. Your vibration will attract, but it will also repel. But that's okay. Because as well, what you're finding is you're testing the truth within you. You know, now if you're really, really upset and disappointed that you're not hanging out with certain people anymore, then you've got a choice of talking to them about it. But actually what you really want to be doing is talking to yourself about it. Talking to yourself about where the positives of those relationships are and where the negatives of those relationships are, and how those negatives feel in you, and where those kind of resentments rankle. And that sense of feeling, again, it isn't just on a kind of a verbal kind of, I want to feel like this. It isn't just on an emotional state, but also listen into the physical. As you pull yourself more into this kind of world of attraction, into manifesting, into really allowing yourself to celebrate what feels positive, what feels purposeful, what feels passionate in your life, you'll realise as well that there are physical kind of somatic interpretations of that. So as a massage therapist, I trust those physical interpretations. I listen very much to the breathing of my clients. I know when they switch across from a place of adrenaline into a calmer place because I hear their tummy gurgle, or I hear their breathing kick in, excuse me, I hear the depth of their voice change, and I hear that kind of quality of the timbre of the voice becomes more, it's just got more kind of gravitas to it. It takes away that kind of reedy quality in how they sound. Those kind of vocal tics and vocal mannerisms that, you know, those kind of sighs and tongue clicks that you hear, all of those things are giving you intuitive information about where that person is. There is a chap called David Allen. He talks a lot about prioritising and time management. And he says that you should be trusting your heart, trust your gut, trust your intuition. Go with the seat of your pants feeling, whatever it is that makes that small, still voice speak up. That's where you want to be working from. And I really love that idea that there are two voices within us. There is that big, loud, look at me voice, which tends to be ego. And then there is that small, still voice. Ego tends for me to come from up here, from my throat and from my head. That small voice kind of comes from my gut and from my heart. And when you tune in increasingly into that intuitive hit, that kind of gut feel, that's your resonance coming up as well. That's your vibration speaking through you. So we know that that we want to be working from an intuitive place. That when we kind of settle more into trusting ourselves, that we get more information that comes up. You know, it's like those sudden like, oh yeah, why don't I do that? Or oh yeah, why don't I do this? And we can get ourselves more into the vortex, which then gets us more into our intuition. So I will pick songs that make me feel fantastic. There we go, circled back into the vortex, woohoo! But for me as well, there are acts that I can perform that get me more amped. So it's listening to music, it's taking a bath with frankincense in it. Last week, now do you remember week 1 to week 2 and to this week? Completely different feel. Week 1, I amped myself up. I listened to the right kind of music. I had a dance around the studio. I felt really prepared. I ate something really delicious before I kind of got to work. All of those things were the things that I do to get my vibration like amped and pumped and yes. Last week, I had a right old row. I never have rows. Poor Matt got it bloody both barrels from me. I had a right old row. I turned up in a rush. I didn't take my socks off. I mean, today I'm like barefoot again, but I'm at home as well. I didn't take my socks off, and I sat down. Ugh. That was like energetic sludge, wasn't it? You know, it's like you could just see me like falling off that happy vibrational side of the sheet and right down into the stink of the left side. And that's when I kind of went, you know what, got to get up, I've got to shake this off, which is why we did the grounding work. Because for me, the grounding stuff gets me amped. It makes me feel like I'm making a conscious, positive effort. So your second handout today, look at me, I actually did handouts for you. Holy crap. Your second handout today is, it's 50 ways. And I want you to think about the 50 ways to make yourself feel awesome. So it can be listening to music. I mean, I'm pretty sure that my taste of music is not everyone's taste of music. I was going to put some Die Spangle on, which is Lil's favourite band at the minute, and I couldn't decide between Noise Complaint or I tried to act normal but I called the police, and really I wasn't quite sure whether either of those were as vibrational as I would like them to be. But it's about the things that you do. I love lipstick. I hardly ever wear it, but oh my god, if I want to get shit going, I put on the lipstick. Oh, I didn't even have lipstick on last week. Pink and red. They're like my Horcrux. They're like my Philosopher's Stone. And I'm going to get you to do that. I've taken a photo earlier of my little Horcruxes. The things that I can use to instantly, like, bam, get myself out of a funk and into the funk. And so if you would please, later today, if you have your talismans, your philosopher's stones, your goodies that make you just go, yeah. It might be your perfume, it might be the dog, you know, those things that just make you feel bouncing. And those are all awesome ways of getting you into the vortex. Yeah, man, lipstick. I have only recently discovered as well that lipstick totally gets me into the vortex. How weird is that? I was like 40 when I discovered that. Bizarre. So, so that's your second work today. That's the 50 ways. 50 ways to feel awesome. You know, and to be honest, there's so many ways you can feel good, and don't hold back and don't feel the shame. Sex, great way to get into the vortex. Self-love, great way to get you into the vortex. All of those things, you know, playing with the kids. This morning for breakfast, Lil and I made Play-Doh with glitter in it, because there's nothing which makes me happier than hanging out with Lil being covered in glitter. It's fucking brilliant. Another word on intuition as well is that there is also an intuition which comes from procrastination. Quite often we beat ourselves up about dithering, procrastinating, of not implementing. And I think that sometimes that's the real shadow side of intuition coming through. And that's there to be respected, and that's there to be looked at and acknowledged. I think sometimes when we feel like we are trying to complete a project and we know the cat's just like, let me out, and we know that that project, it feels like the right thing to do, but we don't seem to be able to get our asses into gear. Sometimes that procrastination is just the shadow side of our intuition, and there's a voice deep inside you which is going, nah mate, don't waste your time, just cut your losses. And I think that that's also a really healthy thing to grow to realise. And I think that checking back in when you're kind of producing a project, or it's a long-term task, something which isn't going to be implemented in like minutes or hours or days, it's important to come back into whether there is still the same truth that you're feeling about the work that you're doing there, or whether actually it's just kicking your ass out of the vortex and it's just like bleh. So yeah, the vortex, it is a marvellous thing. What I should also say that it is nearly nigh on impossible of staying in the vortex 100% of the time. Nobody is 100% happy, and the shadow side of ourselves is an important part of us to be celebrated, and an important part of ourselves to be acknowledged. And there will be times for all of us where we just think like, fuck me, what am I doing? You know, you're like trying to be happy, and you're not able to get yourself amped. And at that point, you've just got to allow yourself. You've got to process. You've just got to give yourself space and time. At least if you can get yourself up to contentment, but even if you can't, if you stay in despair, if you stay in boredom, let yourself be there, and just give yourself the permission to just sit and be, and then the next stage will come to you. And actually, the less you fight it, the more easily you'll get shifted up to it. But when you do get back into the vortex, I trust you, it will be sweeter for it. There is nothing like being in a funk and then finding your groove again that makes you just go, yes, love it. So my darlings, I think that is all I have to share with you about the vortex at this minute. If you have questions and you want to post them in the group, if you're going to miss tonight's call, because I know Death in Paradise is on, Anita. I know. I'm not quite sure how I feel about Father Dougal being the new thingy, but detective, that's the word. But yeah, it's worth a watch. So if you've got questions you want to drop into the group, just write them as a post, and I will have a chat about those when I come back on at 9 tonight. Otherwise, I will see you at 9. Yeah, I'm going to post a photo of my my special magic stuff that makes me feel woo. It would be great if you also posted your photos. Me and the cat are going to go now because the cat needs to be let out. All right, my lovelies, have a wonderful rest of the day. I will catch you at 9 o'clock tonight. Take care now. Bye.